Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to Be Determined. Today we finally, after 3 years, got the foraging update on the alpha. So it's a step towards getting it on main, but we at least get to play it and see what all the new stuff is. So hope you guys end up enjoying this one. If you do, make sure to drop a like, smash the sub button, and let's jump straight into it. So I'm not really going to go over too much of the quest lines and things like that. I'll save that for whenever the server comes to the main. But basically what you'll have to do is you have to do a quest at the lumber merchant there in the hub. And then you'll have little quests to do on each of the little islands here. But you can see it already looks very different. So they made this kind of an acacia biome, I think. And again, this update is in 1.21.5. You have to play in the new version to be able to play it, just because there's new blocks everywhere and there will be new mobs later on. But this is the look of the park now. So this is the birch section. And you can see here, this is where the squids will spawn at now whenever you make it rain. You've got these last couple areas. And one thing that you can go ahead and do here is you can actually swim around, because it is the 1.20 version of swimming. So you can swim just like normal. And there is an underwater section here with the fairy soul. They did add some new fairy souls with this update. So there is, this one is the new one. And there are also 12 new fairy souls on the big island, Galatia, which I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, but that's how we're going to roll with it. But of course it is very laggy on the alpha, so hopefully they can fix some of the lag issues before it updates to the main. But this is the new Spruce Island. So there is a new race that you can do right here with Gustav. I'm not sure what the rewards are. I never actually took the time to do it, but I presume it's similar to what it was before. But you'll just have to grab some spruce here to transfer to the next island. Basically, each island is going to have you just grab a little bit of wood to give to an NPC and then transfer to the new island. But this is the third section, the Dark Oak. So here, I don't think there's really too much to do, but I do want to show off. This is part of the new wolf cave. So it's very underwhelming. This is the bad one, I would say. There's 2 now, and this is the bad one. So there's a little bit to do here, but you can tell that's a very tiny area to do Sven Slayer in. So hoping that we get some better Sven caves. I was hoping this update would add some better ones. This is definitely the worst of the 2 new ones. The second one is going to be over on the Jungle Island, which we'll get to in a moment. Now over here, you do still have Melody's quest, so you still got to do Melody's harp. Unfortunately, they did not remove that with this update. You'll also learn about traps here, which are something you'll need to use in the hunting side of the update, which honestly is the more fun side of the update between hunting and foraging. I've been enjoying the hunting side quite a bit. But this is the jungle section, which does have a cave here as well. So you can break down this wall right here and go inside. And this, again, it's a pretty small cave as well, but there's a lot more spawns in such a small area. So I think it's going to be definitely better to do your Sven Slayers here. Again, hoping they add even better caves in the future, but for right now, this is what we get. I don't know if it's better than the old caves or not, but maybe if it's unconned, but I feel like that's probably how the old caves were as well if they were unconned. But then you get to teleport over here to the new island, Galatia. And the first thing you'll learn about here is the Heart of the Forest. So there is a brand new Heart of the Mountain tree, but for foraging, currently maxes out at tier 7. And I haven't really looked too in depth into all of the stuff on this tree, but it's pretty similar, I would say, to the Heart of the Mountain tree on the regular. You've got the Foraging Wisdom perk instead of Mining Wisdom perk. Forest Whispers is the replacement for Powder. So anything that gives Forest Whispers is basically just a Powder buff perk. And there is also Pressure Resistance, which we'll talk about later. There's kind of 3 parts to this update as far as Galatia goes. There is the Foraging section, the Hunting section, and then the Underwater section. So there's some pretty cool stuff that we'll talk about in the Underwater section. But as far as foraging goes, your main item that you'll have, of course, before getting into this too much is the Tree Capitator. And the big change with this is you can now throw your axe to grab logs. So you can see once the full tree is chopped down, myself and this player that I helped are both going to get perks. So I got some forest essence. There is a new essence shop, some foraging experience, some wood, and part of the forest experience as well. So got some nice perks there. And this was one of the types of trees. There are 2 new types of trees. So the first is the fig tree right here. So you'll just be able to go over and chop these down. And basically the strategy with all of these is for fig trees, you want to break the bottom part first, and then you can slowly start breaking the higher up section. So you'll break what you can reach, and then afterwards you'll just throw your axe at whatever you can't reach. Again, you can see it's very laggy, so I can't show things too well, but you get the idea. But yeah, the strategy with fig trees is to break the trunk first and then throw your axe at the branches. And I believe it's the opposite for the second type of trees, which I'll show here in a moment. These mangrove trees right here. So I believe for these, what you want to do is kind of just throw your axe up into the leaves first and try and take out the branches. And then once you're done with that, you can go and start chopping down the trunk afterwards. I believe that's how it works. I'm not totally sure, but if that's wrong, I will have some updated guides when the update does actually drop on the main server. But that's the two types of trees that were added with this. Also, on the foraging side of things, you can go around to these azalea bushes and click on these to get the berries from them. And there are new collections for all of these things. Some of them add traps, some of them unlock axes and that type of thing. But again, I don't want to go too in depth right now because a lot of it is subject to change, and I kind of want to show off the cool stuff first. So the second part of this update that we'll go over is the pressure system. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and put on my diver set. So you can see a few changes with the diver set. It is now epic rarity, and it does give a few cool things here. So there is now a stat for respiration and a stat for pressure resistance. So pressure resistance, as you can see here, reduces the effects of pressure when diving. So basically, whenever you dive, after you get to a certain depth, you'll start feeling pressure, which is going to make it so that it's very hard to breathe. And so your underwater breathing time starts running out faster, which is counted based on your respiration levels. But depending on your pressure resistance, your pressure will build up slower, and also you'll be able to dive deeper before you feel the effects of pressure. So I'll go back over to this section real quick, and you can see I am at, let's see, we are at Y87 or 88 for above water. So once we get down to like Y76, we should start seeing this pressure meter go up here at the bottom. So we're at Y75 now. I should start seeing it, I think. I don't know. It's not quite doing anything at the moment. There we go. So now the pressure's going up. And so you can see my bubbles are running out here on the right side. If we go back up, my bubbles will still run out, but they'll run out a lot slower. And you'll see if I dive down really fast, my bubbles will start running out very, very quickly. So there they go. They're all gone. So now I'm going to start taking damage. So based on that, you got to be careful with how deep you go and how long you stay down there, because you will do what these guys are doing and die to pressure quite a bit. But there is a little bit of a cheese you can do to this right now. I'm sure it'll be patched before it comes out on the main server. But if I equip a Reaper mask and a cheap tuxedo set, I can actually just infinitely survive here. I am going to equip a blaze pet because if it lags, I can still die, and it's pretty laggy right now. But I'm going to actually go to the deepest section you can go to right now, which is to the dragon's lair. So there is a brand new dragon pet, and we're going to try and go down there now if it'll stop teleporting me. Thank you. We'll just go through this section, and all the way down at the bottom of this area, there is the brand new Jade Dragon, which I haven't seen the stats of these yet, but my Phoenix Pet just saved me right there. But I haven't seen the stats and abilities of these yet. I'm sure they're pretty cool. If I do find a picture, I'll put it up on screen right now. But basically, this is our second dragon pet that is going to have 200 levels. So you can see this is what he'll look like once he hits level 100. But just like the golden dragon, he's very expensive. Costs 500 million coins, 50 enchanted emerald blocks, 50 fig stone, 50 main core, and a shiniest, which I'm not sure how you get the shiniest. I know the fig stone and main core are basically just the super enchanted versions of the fig logs and the mangrove logs. But yeah, that is our second pet that you can get, but you do have to have a pretty solid set of respiration to be able to dive down here and grab it yourself. But that's one of the new pets. There is another new pet which I will show here in a little bit, and that is right here at Agatha. So Agatha has contests similar to Jacob's contests where you can get points for breaking trees, but she has constant contests. So there are 3 contests per hour. They each last 20 minutes, and you can claim the rewards right here. So I'm just going to bulk claim. I got a bunch of coupons, some whispers, some essence, and a bunch of XP and Heart of the Forest XP. And you can use these at the shop right here to get some extra buffs and things, but also the new frog pet, which gives extra respiration. But now I think it's time to go ahead and talk about the biggest part of this update, the attribute system and the hunting update. So the way that attributes have worked in the past is most items related to the Crimson Isle, you could put 2 different attributes on, or they'd spawn in with them, and then you could level them up. So god rolls are very expensive and all that stuff. But basically what this update has done is made it so god rolls are irrelevant. They don't exist anymore because you're going to turn your attributes off of your armor and turn them into shards to equip to yourself. So they are no longer going to be on armor pieces, fishing rods, weapons, anything like that. It is all turned into shards that you can apply directly to your character. So if I go up to the attributes NPC here and put in my fishing rod, you can see I'm going to get 16 fishing speed shards because I had fishing speed level 7, and 32 trophy hunter shards because I had trophy hunter level 8. And also because this is a god roll item, I get extra feathers. I don't know how to pronounce the name in front of these, but I get extra feathers for that. So if I go ahead and transfer these feathers can be consumed to give myself progress in the RNG meter of my choice. So we'll go over that in a second. But first off, let's talk about those shards that I got. If I do /HB, which is for the hunting box menu, you can also go into your skills menu here and go to hunting and then the hunting box, and you can just mass siphon and claim all of the shards to yourself. So these are the shards that get applied to your character. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this and claim all of the extra shards that we just got, plus some that I've grabbed throughout the day. And I get all of these buffs. So I get extra strength on foraging islands, extra fishing speed, extra damage against lava sea creatures, extra chance to find a wet book from fishing, extra damage to creatures on Galatia, extra trophy fish chance, and extra sweep on axe throws. So that is from all of those shards that we just got. Of course, I do have some of these left over, and some of that is because I don't have the hunting skill required to get them. So these arrows right here, I can't claim the extra strength because I'm not hunting 15 yet. But these other shards I can't claim because I've already maxed them out. You can see that I have my attribute up to level 10 on these, which is the max level. So instead of using them to level myself up, I can do a couple things. I can go over to this fusion machine and start combining them. So I'm gonna combine the thorn because I've got some of those. Burning souls I'm not able to claim yet, so we'll combine thorn and cinderbat, and I can use these to claim either 1 bow shard or 2 arrow shard. But keep in mind, I am putting in 5 of each of these shards, so I'm turning in a total of 10 shards, 5 thorn shards, 5 cinderbat shards to claim either 1 bow shard or 2 arrow shards. So I'm gonna go ahead and claim the arrow shards, and if I want to repeat that last fusion, I can just click this button and go ahead and repeat it just like that. And then once I'm high enough level, I can claim those arrow shards and apply them to my character. Now what I can also do is take these 3 Kraken shards I have, because I only have 3, I can't combine them with anything else because you need 5, and I can right click them to turn them into an item. And if we go to Bazaar, I can click on it and I can sell it right here on the Bazaar. And you can sell pretty much every shard. I think literally every single shard is on the Bazaar. And you can see there's 6 total pages plus an extra 6 total things here that you can turn in, and you can click on each and see what they give. Buffs all other elemental shards by 2%, or the Multhorn, your unlimited attributes are 5% stronger. So there's a lot of strong attributes that you can find in here. Some of them are from mobs that you may know, like the Endstone Protector gives extra defense. So you can either do the fusions that I just did and hope you find an Endstone Protector, or you can find it as common loot dropped from the Endstone Protector. And you can see there's shards dropped from golden ghouls, from sea archers, from yogs, a bunch of different mobs that give a bunch of different perks. And then there's some mobs that you'll be able to find throughout the world right here on the Galatia island. So you can see there is this vampire right here. If I hit him with a lasso, then we can wait until he runs out of energy and then reel in. And I did it too late, so we gotta catch him again. And we just keep an eye on whenever it says reel. And there we go. And I mistimed it again, apparently. And there we go, I captured it that time. So you can see I got a shard of vampire. And if I do /HB, I can see that it's right here. So I can either left click to siphon it or right click to turn it into an item and sell it on Bazaar. So I'm just gonna go ahead and siphon that, which means I get the extra attribute level. But let's come back to these feathers. I kind of got sidetracked there. So basically what these feathers do is they give a certain amount of RNG meter towards something specific. So you can see I can turn in 1 feather and get 100,000 RNG meter towards what I have for looting. Or if I go to Slayers, I can put it on 500k towards my Slayer XP for revs. There's not one for tarantulas yet, but maybe when they add T5s. Or for Sphinx, I can get 300k. For Void Glooms, I can get 70k, so definitely not worth doing that one. I can get 8k for Riftstalker Blood Fiends, or 85k for Inferno Demon Lords. There's also ones for M7 and F7, so if I wanted to go drop another handle, I could get some pretty good meter towards that. And of course, for Devon's Alloy, it counts for 17 runs worth of RNG meter towards that. But you do have to keep in mind, you only get those feathers if it is a god roll. So you can see this Crimson Legging set is not a god roll. It's Blazing Resistance 5, Mana Pool 6. So if I go over here and turn this in, I am going to get the shards back, but I'm not going to get the feathers for it being a god roll since it's not one. Now there are some other ways you can catch mobs. This pocket black hole is used for catching the combat mobs generally, and the fishing net is generally used for catching the underwater mobs. So if I go over and find myself a little fish right here, you can see this is an azure. So if we go ahead and catch that, I get an azure shard, which goes straight in here, and I can go ahead and claim that. And if I go into the underwater section here where I can find chill blades, then I can go ahead and throw my pocket black hole down right here and go ahead and hit this guy with my axe, because these mobs only take damage from axes. If I try and kill him with, say, my Hyperion right here, you can see he's immune. So if I just hit him with this, then he falls into the black hole, and I unlock the bestiary for him and also the shard. You might also be wondering how Wheel of Fates work now. Basically, it's like a Kismet reroll, except you're guaranteed to get a higher rarity of shards. So if you look at shards, you can see this is a common water shard there at the bottom. This one's a common combat shard, and then there's uncommon, rare, epic, etc. So if you get a shard that's a low rarity, you can re-roll with the Wheel of Fate and get a guaranteed better shard. I don't think all shards appear in Kudra, but there are definitely some of them that appear there. I know a lot of people have been worried about whether Kudra is actually going to make money still. The price of Crimson Essence has already dropped since this update got released. It's not even on the main server yet, and I know Crimson is down to like a third of what it normally is. I do think Aurora Armor is probably going to need a pretty significant buff to make it much better than Storm, so people will be more inclined to grind Storm gear, but you're still going to need good Crimson gear to be able to handle Blaze Slayer, good Terror to be able to handle Kudra, and generally you'll still need decent Aurora to handle Kudra as well, but you're not going to really invest in either of those sets, Terror or Aurora, if Kudra doesn't make good money. And it's still going to be decent, don't get me wrong. That is still how you're going to get Crimson gear, of course, and all the essence you need to upgrade it. Plus, you can still get a lot of good shards out of there, which shards are going to be in high demand the second this update drops. Also, there's Kudra cores and Wheels of Fate and all that stuff. So even just Kudra cores will probably go up in price if less people start running Kudra, and maybe bring some of them back. But overall, we're just going to have to wait and see. There's a couple other really cool things you can find. This witch, you can turn in your special fish and get a bunch of rewards like Respiration and Skywalk XP, as well as Fishing XP. There's also an NPC that sells reptiles, which you can use to get some extra shards. A Foraging Essence shop with some pretty strong perks that are pretty nice. There's a beacon, which you can power to get extra fortune. You need a signal enhancer for it. I'm not sure how to get that, but I'm sure with more exploring, we'll be able to find it pretty quick. And also, you can boost your armor. So you can see all of these stuff here that is foraging related. So there's David's cloak, which is basically going to be the new Rift necklace, but for cloaks. And there's all these other pieces of foraging equipment that you can find as well. All of the normal axes that got added with this, as well as the new ones, plus the canopy mask and the upgraded version, the fig gear. But all of these you can upgrade with boosters, which we can buy one from this NPC, foraging booster. And when you combine the canopy gear with this in the anvil, I've already combined it, so it won't let me again. You get 8 extra foraging fortune. And apparently there's 5 total boosters that you can find throughout the Galatia Island to get all of the boosts to your whole armor set, as well as your axe. But that's all the big things with this update. I just kind of want to cover everything so you guys have a general idea of what's going on. And I am curious what your opinions are. I know this isn't like as huge of an update as we were expecting for 3 years, and I definitely think the Sven Cave really needs a rework, like a lot better rework than the one we got. But I think it is very interesting to get a new hunting skill. I really like the way that's been implemented. Plus, you can tell this update isn't fully finished yet. You go to foraging. Foraging only goes up to level 54 right now. And if you go all the way over to the edge of the map, you can see there's a couple things here showing there will be 2 other islands for foraging. So they have kind of left it open-ended to be fixed in the future, but with all the cool things that they've done in this new version of 1.21, I am glad that it's on a new version, and I'm looking forward to new updates being on newer versions. We didn't get anything Elytra related or Trident related with this update, but I wouldn't be shocked to see some Trident stuff with a new update on the Backwater Bayou or a whole new fishing island, as well as maybe some changes to the end where you can fight dragons while gliding around with Elytra. That would be sick. But I think the new versions definitely have a lot of potential as far as the updates that can be added with them, and this update has a lot of content. It's going to take hundreds of hours to max out everything in here, and I think I'm thoroughly going to enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to it coming to the main server, and I hope you guys are too. But thank you so much for watching to the end. I'll catch you in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day, and God bless.